Level 89, a test of will. The bereaved dragon has fallen silent, leaving Estinian to sigh with frustration. One only to brood in silence, to be left alone with their grief until time itself comes to an end. So reward for senseless bloodshed, a pain I understand and wish that I did not. What fools we were. But now isn't the time for such thoughts. The others will want to hear what we've learned. Come. Were you able to establish any meaningful contact with the dragons? I see, they wish to escape what they perceive to be a cycle of conflict. Thank you. As for our part, I believe we are more acutely aware of our confines than before. We started by traversing the perimeter of the island to see if there might be a path leading off of it. Sadly, there was nothing to be found. There's no small amount of debris floating about. Could there be enough to serve as a bridge to lead us elsewhere? I considered that, and so I tried throwing a stone onto a potential platform to judge its integrity. But it never reached its mark. As it crossed an invisible threshold just beyond the boundaries of this island, it vanished, only to reappear above me and fall at my feet. I would not be too quick to presume that what we see outside this space is as it appears. Which is why I returned to the Ragnarok and asked the Loporits to search for a potential path. However, the ship's instruments failed to provide conclusive data on the surrounding area. Until we know more, I think it too risky to attempt flying to another island. But Medion told us before that emotions dictate reality here might be the key, but I'm not entirely sure what emotion might manifest a bridge to lead us to safety. So what you're saying is we've no way forward? At present, aye. If it is indeed emotion that governs this island, perhaps it is not Meteons, but the dragons that holds us here. They tire of conflict and have chosen a path of oblivion to escape it. Or rather, they have chosen no path at all, meaning there is no way for the dragons or anyone here on this island to advance. Sound theory, disheartening though it may be. That is the case, what recourse do we have? They are not like to be persuaded to help us. Their reasoning is built on a history of turmoil and strife without a refutable proof that the future is not as bleak as they believe it to be. Mayhap persuasion is not the answer. Meteon meant to unmake us then and there on the Ragnarok, and she would have succeeded if not for Thancred's determination. She conceded it was strong enough to overpower the despair that otherwise rules Ultima Thule and reshape it to a degree. Perhaps it can be done again, if like manner, by overpowering the prevailing emotions. It was Ultima Thule's architect, Meteon herself, against whom Thancred did pit himself in a clash of wills. Though I marked no leader among them as such, I did chance to encounter a dragon possessed of despair far more potent than most, potent enough may have to dictate the course for the others, and thus their domain to follow. He spoke but few words, carefully chosen, their tone and timbre alone threatening to rend my heart in twain. Challenging his desire to remain may allow us to alter the island upon which we stand. Alas, I feared my vaunted rhetoric availed me naught against his calcifying heart, but mayhap one of you will fare better. I shall guide thee. Alin, they call him in the dragon tongue. Thou wilt find him nearby, eyes fixed upon the water. Well, what have we to lose? Let's get going.
He remaineth as he was when I first approached, entombed in melancholy.
I see. Perhaps I could...
I'll handle this. So, waiting to die like all the others, are you?
Our pride is crushed and our souls corrupted. The winds are stilted and the heavens offer no comfort. There's nothing left for our kind. Our long lives a curse as we await the end. Still a stone we shall become.
So you say. Yet your kind has found a new beginning on our star. One of you braved the expanse, bearing with him a clutch of eggs. They and their children now rule our skies, their song heard by all.
Our kin on another star? And yet upon thee do I smell the blood of my brethren. Were they drawn into discord and war on their new home?
They were. They suffered much, and repaid their suffering in kind.
It mattereth not whither we fly. Ever will a sanguine ocean await us, ever will retribution's wheel turn. So in the last of my pride as a dragon, I break free of this wheel. I renounce conflict, exile myself from the other, never again to be touched by the flames of hatred.
Had your brethren made the selfsame choice, my family might still be alive. Yet lasting peace does not come to those who simply retreat from conflict. No, you must be willing to confront it, to stare into the face of your foe, and see yourself in him. Only then can you break the cycle of torment and tragedy. This lesson, a dear friend taught me at the risk of his life. There is no nobility in your penance. You wallow in self-pity. And after everything we've endured, we will not let you stop us.
Estinian!
Stay back!
We tire of war, we tire of turmoil. Dignity tarnished, crimson stained. Our misery, our shame, too much to bear. Release us from war, from life.
I see. Theirs is the emotion that bars our way. The rest is up to you.
No! Not Estinian too!
There's a wind. He's opened the way for us. Sacrificed himself to remake this place, like Thancred did.
Oh, Alphino.
Come. Let us follow the wind. It will not lead us astray. He would not.
All right, moving on. Look there, the wind. This is Estinian's doing, I'm sure of it. We should ride its flow and see where it leads. Powerful gale has delivered you to another island. The other signs should arrive before long. He did it. He found a way forward for us. Dragons remain trapped within a prison of their own making, lamenting the horrors of war, yet Estinian knew them better than most. He was a man of honor and a dear friend, willing to fight to the very end for what he believed was right. He's still fighting, Alphinaud, just like Thancred. Their sacrifices are why we can survive here, why we still have a chance to stop her. Even in spirit, they're unwilling to give in to despair, and we mustn't either. Alizé is right, we must press on for their sake. Level 89, a test of will. Feet. Level 89, roads paved, sacrifice. Alphinaud has regained his composure and is ready to proceed. As the Stola and Alizé said, we must continue. Notice the change in our surroundings? Perhaps this is a memory of an altogether different world. It would be prudent to learn more of it, then tread carefully lest we lose our footing in this sand. Were it not for the violet crystal embedded in its surface, would appear as ordinary stone. Curious script hath been etched upon them. Alas, it is not a language with which I am familiar. I cannot say I recognize it either. Nor I. The dragons, from what I recall, preserve their knowledge in song and eschew the written word entirely, so we may assume that this is the work of another race, one we have yet to encounter. Meteon claimed the dragon's world suffered a slow death, seeking the release of oblivion. Life we find here, like as not, doth wend its way towards a similar end. What do you suppose that is over there? I'm not sure, it's hard to make out at this distance, but its surface seems to bear the same crystals as the monument. Meaning there's a chance we may find whoever built them both. We should go have a look and have a look. Come on. Hail, travelers, this is a most unexpected occurrence. Oh, hello there, is this your home? Indeed it is. Ah, forgive me, I had forgotten. An exchange of introductions is expected when first meeting those with whom one is unacquainted. And the vibration of vocal folds was still required to convey our thoughts and intention. Ia, I believe, was the pronunciation used when referring to our people. Though it is not entirely applicable given our present state, you are welcome to use this appellation. As for the nomenclature to address my individual person, I believe it would be pronounced Kofkuj. Yes, Kofkuj of the Ia. We have encountered beings that communicate intermittently through thought, but never one that is wholly without voice. I presume we are having this conversation via the medium of ether or dynamis, as this space is suffused with vast quantities of it, fascinating in either case. Gather your response to my presence is positive, then, that is well, for there is something I wish to ask of you. Like yourselves, we are ether-based life forms, therefore it may be surmised that your bodies are of comparable biological composition to those we once possessed. I have a number of queries regarding your subjective perception of the five senses: sight, sound, taste, touch, and smell. Total, I prepared 198,712,180,827. That's rather a lot, isn't it? I'll give you 3. My apologies, I have omitted a great many details necessary to understand the nature of my request. Though we dispensed with our corporeal vessels long ago, we have rediscovered a need for the flesh and have endeavored to recreate our erstwhile forms. However, all pertinent records have been lost due to the passage of time. Take, for example, the nervous system. It is well within our power to recreate, but we have no frame of reference for sensations once experienced by our people. It may compromise our ability to interact with our physical environment. And the reason you need to regain corporeal forms? Why, to bring an end to our existence, of course. Though need is perhaps too strong a word, it would be a simple matter to unmake ourselves through use of etheric exsanguinators, but such a death seems inadequate. Traditionalists among us believe proper death requires an inescapable sense of impermanence in one's final moments, an experience found only with bodies of flesh. We should very much like to hear more of your plans. In exchange, we will answer any questions you have to the best of our ability. Such an exchange of information would indeed prove useful. Very well, to ensure efficacious exchange, I hereby invite you to our home. Yes, the abode of the where we traditionalists prepare for our demise. Presume your consent to answer questions is indicative of a tacit approval of our plans, in which case your cooperation is greatly appreciated. I must caution you, however, to be mindful of the wandering the desert. Their desire for bodies of flesh could be described as overzealous. Now, if you would follow me. This is going rather smoothly, not that I'm complaining, mind. Even so, we mustn't forget that their aim is oblivion, much like the dragons. So I fail to see why a civilization so seemingly advanced would choose to unmake all they have created. Anyway, we will find no answers dallying here. Let us be on our way. Abode of the Ear. Welcome to our abode. Most of our compeers, you will find, remain idle in their domiciles, though your quizzical expressions indicate my phrasing is unclear. I speak, of course, of the violet crystalline constructs hanging from the stone structures there. You say they remain idle, but what of your work to regain corporeal bodies? An astute question and understandable given your finite nature. We have no desire to pursue our research, for it is no longer necessary. If in our idleness we are struck by sudden inspiration, we rise to pursue said inspiration to its conclusion. That is why I was present for your arrival and while I continue to engage with you still. While the others are not currently in a motile state, rest assured they would not object were you to disturb their respite. You need only cast your thoughts towards one of their crystalline domiciles to communicate. Cast your thoughts towards the crystalline domicile, but there is no response. You wish to speak? Very well, pray, a moment, if you would. Into this while we're here. Why we seek our end, you ask? If you wish to know, I will tell you. Just a moment, I must remember. What form did I take when last I emerged? Ah. Strange moaning comes and goes, but soon fades into silence. Did your inquiries yield satisfactory responses? I see. They failed to answer, then it is likely because their minds have unraveled due to prolonged idleness. They are naught but concentrated ether now. Worry not, there are no others who have need of those lodgings, and they will not prove a hindrance to remain as they are. But more importantly, you said some few did answer your request for an audience. Yes, I imagine they will be with us ere long. Level 89, roads paved to sacrifice. Level 89, flesh abandoned. Kafkuj languidly awaits their brethren's arrival. I had no luck, but everyone else fared well enough. Quite a few here have awakened. Ah, there they are. May I introduce you to Lalak, Judik, Ninage. It has been too long, I dare say, since completed an orbit. Indeed, until the travelers brought it to my attention, I hadn't noticed how unraveled some had become. Travelers, of course, the ones who wish to know why we seek to regain corporeal forms. The truth of the matter is as plain to see as the neighboring systems, but my single account would fail to satisfy the requirement for scientific objectivity, thus did I bid them to awaken you. Am I the only one who struggles to tell who is speaking? Nay, thou art not. In the absence of corporeal forms and the divergence they afford, mayhap such similarity in voice is unavoidable. By the way, have you already observed the requisite custom for the travelers? That which one is expected to do when receiving guests, a matter of proper form? Ah, yes, so long as it has been, I had completely escaped my mind and still does. What was it again? I can't seem to remember. Neither do I. Pity, I was hoping you would. Perhaps we can search the archives for the answer. Come now, the archives have long been frozen, lest we subject ourselves to further dollar. Surely you recall that much. Ah, of course, food. The custom is to serve food. Beings of flesh such as they must regularly replenish their ether. By contributing to their replenishment, we communicate our friendly intention. That's right, that's right. We duly invite you to join us in communal repast, after which we may engage in leisurely conversation. If we have a chance to learn something, then I see no reason to decline. Excellent, if you would care to follow, we shall feast you on the purest ether. This facility is where we replenish our ether. There is no particular name for it, but we traditionalists sometimes use the word restaurant. Now then, if you would take your place with your comrades, the space will soon be awash with purest ether. Please absorb as much as you like. Brace yourself for a rush of sweet, sweet ether, but nothing seems to happen. Perhaps you need to wait a little longer. Brace yourself again, but again, nothing seems to happen. Just as I had suspected, as meticulously as one might recreate his home world, this is Ultima Thule. One cannot simply generate ether here. As recreations, our friends are oblivious to this fact, to the very truth of their existence, much like the phantoms of the recreated Amarat. For appearances may seem, we must ever be mindful that it is the memories of the dead with whom we deal. So, did you have your fill of ether? Alas, we couldn't absorb it, a deficiency in our forms, it would seem. Oh, how very unfortunate. May I ask how you normally replenish your ether? Through your mouths, you say? How very primitive and quaint. They think that their mouths serve not only to expel sound, but draw in sustenance besides. Such life forms have long since vanished from our systems. That we regrettably could not partake of your magnificent feast. Rest assured, we feel your welcome most keenly. In the course of acquainting ourselves with your sophisticated ways, however, we could not fail but wonder, wherefore do you wish to obtain vessels of flesh and thence to vanish? Will you not favor us with an explanation? You flesh and blood beings are always so hasty. It does have its charm, however. Very well, we shall indulge you. In the beginning, when the yet possessed corporeal bodies, our ancestors dedicated themselves to the pursuit of knowledge and technological advancement. Transcending all limitations, we believed we would eliminate sorrow and abide in true happiness. From the tangible, such as the land, to the intangible, such as labor, there exist myriad hindrances to progress, but the most confining of all was the flesh itself. Natural lifespan was distressingly middling, you see, too short to enjoy unhurried lives, yet too long to be considered disposable. Furthermore, to simply maintain the integrity of our bodies demanded considerable resources. But we managed to solve this problem. After long years, we discovered how to become non-corporeal entities with everlasting lives, untroubled by the failures of the flesh. Thus changed, we had more time and freedom to continue our scientific pursuits. We went on to make ever greater strides on our quest to transcend all limitations until we finally decided to challenge the last of them all, the limit of knowledge. That is to say, deciphering the laws of creation. We sought to discover how the universe came into being and explain all extant phenomena, and thence predict the future. If we could but achieve this, we believed we would be free from uncertainty and anxiety. Did you find the answers you sought? Yes, we did. Our efforts revealed to us a fundamental truth. Knowledge of said truth is essential for the continuation of our conversation. If you would learn more, we will share it with you. No, we mustn't. Primitive as they are, it would be unspeakably cruel to deprive them of their ignorance. They were possessed of corporeal forms, their lives readily ended. As those who have gone before, is it not our duty to warn them? What thinkest thou? We have deliberated and come to a consensus. If you are resolved to know it, we will disclose to you the truth we discovered, the truth of the universe. Seek us at the stone pillars just outside the bounds of the abode, a place called Elegea. Elegea? Elegea? A fundamental truth. We will hear it, of course. Let us learn what has led to such an enlightened people to this indolent end. 89. Flesh abandon? Fresh abandon? I don't know. Flesh abandon. Complete. Okay, one more. 89, where knowledge leads. Something seems to be weighing on Urianje's mind. Ere we join the Aya, there is one trifling matter I would fain investigate. Like, Raitia, might I trouble you for your assistance? But of course. My thanks. We shall head outside the abode if you would kindly follow me. I know not what mischief you are plotting, Urianje, but I trust you have our best interest at heart. The rest of us shall go on ahead to Elegea, and lest you worry, we won't start in without you. Aye, this place shall serve. Is the spring that you wish to investigate? Pray forgive me, my friends, but there is naught to investigate. It was but a pretense to speak in private. You have our undivided attention. As we have established here in Ultima Thule, those denizens of ruined stars are recreated in their twilight days. Yet one question doth arise in my mind. So faithfully formed are the simulacra, they believe themselves yet amongst the living. How dost thou suppose this is possible? Meteon has taken their hearts unto herself. Meteon made contact with them while they still lived. Couldn't begin to guess. Of course, she must have visited the stars of the dragons in Ea before either race perished in their entirety. Thus could she make their emotions her own and with them create more faithful simulacra than she had relied on any historical account. So too did I theorize, and upon that assumption consider how those two races may have met their demise. According to thine own tale, Meteon perceiveth the emotions of those nearby as her own. Heightened sense of empathy intrinsic to her nature as an intellectie. In the course of her starfaring journey, if she encountered beings who strongly desired a cessation of their existence, she would be powerless before that desire. Even as she possesseth the power to grant it, the power of Dynamis. It is my supposition that, overwhelmed by their longing for death, Meteon did unleash Dynamis and ushered the dragons in the Ea into their doom. Of course, such was not always the outcome. Full many stars did she find already lost to ruin. In order to create a terminus, however, the fervent desire for the end is essential. Therefore, should you struggle to find the way forward, pray ask yourselves this: in the place of where you stand, whose is the soul that yearneth most desperately for oblivion? Why do you tell us this now? Never again would I betray your trust. This pledge I did make my comrades, and bringing thee into my confidence, I would remain true to my word. As for thee, let us consider it my fitting reward for the secrets I harbored for the Crystal Exarch. I once placed my faith in thy chosen path, walking at thy side, full knowing that we were bound for thy demise. Ask now that thou returnst to favor and abide in faith as I fulfill mine own destiny. You say my debt has come due. How am I to refuse? 'Tis indelicate of me, I know full well, and I can but beg thy forgiveness. Yet even if I must needs go to such lengths, I cannot well feign ignorance of the answer I have found within. The answer to the question, in what moment might I stand strongest? After all that we've been through, I will say only this. Do what you must, and see your conviction through. I shall, my friend, I shall. Without further ado, then, let us go to join our comrades. Let us be off too, to Elegia. Seems everyone is accounted for, shall we then?
Please continue. Tell us about this truth you discovered.
Very well. Bear in mind, however, that the purpose of this conversation is not to impart scholarly knowledge, for such requires that you comprehend the subject matter, which you will not. We will forego the intricacies of our scientific methodology and deal only with the conclusion, the end of our society and our world. We acknowledge, with regret, that your star is in the midst of the same panic-induced cataclysm that befell Deneb 3. As such, in order to avoid causing undue distress, we will refrain from explicitly stating how much time you have remaining.
You are entirely too kind. I pray you recount your tale as you see fit.
In the beginning, the universe was but a tiny particle. Then suddenly, this particle began to expand. Having remained entirely in the bounds of your star, the phenomenon may be difficult for your kind to grasp. But this expansion has since continued unabated. Speculating that the universe could not grow indefinitely, we sought to learn what might occur, and made a worrying discovery. The stars will continue to spread apart, as will their finite thermal energies.
Oh, they found out about entropy.
Eventually, all heavenly bodies will grow cold and freeze. No new stars will be born, and the universe will enter onto an eternal ice age.
Heat death of the universe.
In hopes of proving that this determination was erroneous, we scrutinized our research from all angles, even as we sought to avert the everlasting winter. The endeavor proved fruitless. So infamously so, in fact, that it became synonymous with vain effort. The universe as we know it would end, and there is no way to prevent it. Beneath the weight of this knowledge, our society stagnated. Though we had time still, it was a cold comfort. Why strive for anything when desolation is assured? When our wealth of wisdom, accumulated since the dawning of our kind, would be forever lost. No civilization would rise from our ashes. No scholar recover our knowledge. In silence unbroken, naught would stir. Intellect was once our pride. Overnight, it became our shame. Our works, monuments to futility. Immortality, our greatest invention, became a source of suffering. Rather than suffer on, many chose to unmake themselves by means of etheric exsanguinators. Etched upon these stones are the testaments of such souls, though many left no words at all, thinking it a pointless gesture. Once we have obtained vessels of flesh, we likewise intend to vanish. If you understand this, understand aught of our tale, you will abandon your quest for knowledge. Ignorance truly is bliss. If you would cling to your illusory happiness, remain primitive and pure. It It is the only way.
So that's your story. While I appreciate your advice, I will not heed it. Convinced though you may be of this truth, it is yours and not mine. Indeed, truth, I have ever believed, is in the eye of the beholder.
Are you suggesting that we have reached a faulty conclusion? That our science failed us?
Hardly. As you yourself said, the subject matter is beyond my comprehension. And that, I accept, is true. I do not possess the knowledge to prove or disprove your conclusion. In my mortal years, I doubt I could even approach the wisdom of the Air. But of one thing am I absolutely certain. I would not be happier in ignorance.
Y'shtola, no! You mustn't!
The most important lesson I've learned is that learning isn't simply passing one's eyes over words. Nay, 'tis when understood for oneself that knowledge attains its true value. This is what has sustained me, driven me onward in joy and wonder, in anger and sorrow. The universe may end, and all may be for naught. But I will live as I always have. I will always seek out new knowledge. And no conclusion of yours, no matter how grim, can dampen my desire.
I suppose it is only to be expected. Their feeble minds cannot fathom the terrifying gravity of it all. But worry not. We consider it our duty to enlighten you, and we will not stop until you grasp the full extent of our despair.
Keep calm and listen well. Though my body will soon dissipate, there may be a way to restore it. Azim's magic. So long as our souls remain, you can use it to summon us back. But you mustn't, for it would mean losing our way forward. This I only reveal so that you can promise not to invoke the magic. We came here knowing what victory may cost, so press on. Press on, and do not look back.
I shall join thee. As subterfuge is not required, thou shalt not suffer for mine absence.
Riange.
My resolve hath never been as strong as thine. Full oft have I wavered in my decisions, and afterwards been stricken with regret. In spite of this, I may still stand with my comrades, supporting them as they attempt the greatest of feats. This truth I have learned in the course of our journey. And many though my shortcomings may be, I may also claim to excel in prophecies. My studies, into which have granted me the flexibility of mind needed to bend this malleable reality. Thus shall I hope that thou mayest have the strength to resist, and our comrades the strength to continue.
With you to urge us on, how could we possibly fail?
What's this? An extinguished civilization. Rekindled.
That's right. Our quest doesn't end here. We'll press on, and we will find you.
There. That's where you'll find me.
Is that another star?
Of the stars we visited, most were already devoid of life. And where there was life still, the inhabitants wished for death. But even death, we learned, isn't truly the end. It is but a part of the cycle of rebirth. Souls return to the star, or in its absence, a larger flow. And eventually they are reborn, alive again, to know suffering anew. True salvation lies not in dying. It lies in not being born. This is the gift I would give to you. To all life on beautiful Aetheris. To that end, we created an egg wherein life cannot quicken. That dead sun. Attain it if you can, before your friend's emotions fade away, along with their protection.
Level 89, where knowledge leads.